works at the local,
general store,
and he's a lumberjack.
He is.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what he does?
Mm-hmm. They show him in the beginning, sawing trees down.
He's just been doing that as a hobby. I mean,
yeah, they don't really say what he does, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Don't quote Zach on that.
In the very beginning, he's sawing down trees with other guys.
Anyone can do that.
Airlifted, and then they get airlifted out on a helicopter.
You've done that with a couple of your buddies, rented out a helicopter, chopped some wood.
Yeah, we totally have to do this now.
I don't know. I feel like Zach's making a lot of assumptions. Were they in uniform?
All right, we got 30 minutes.
They weren't in uniform.
We got 30 minutes
Exactly.
to cover
We gotta take Zach on a lumberjacking trip.
I'm probably the only one here who's cut a fucking tree down.
Exactly. So you should know.
I should be taking you guys on a lumberjack trip.
Technically, the amount of weed I smoked, I've cut down countless
Well, you're telling me
trees.
you were a lumberjack?
Man getting bit by an alligator screaming.
Swallow this.
Welcome back to Reasonably Afraid. It's episode 8, and you know what that means, motherfuckers.
We got past the cursed 7th episode.
We made it past.
We made it past. That means that we're gonna go at it forever.
Is that a thing?
Or we'll
7
quit.
episodes, people stop doing a podcast?
Yeah,
we'll
this
quit at
majority
14.
of yeah.
Who told you that?
Was it 14?
No, I just made that up.
I don't know. It's just something that went around for people who were first starting their first podcast.
They say on the average, new podcasts tend to give up after about 7 episodes.
Yeah.
That's right at the point where enough people listen to you to where you see that someone's listening, but not enough people to make you care or be motivated to continue, because everybody thinks that when you do a thing, everybody should care right away. And then that's not how things work.
It's also 7 hours of talking to the same person over and over again, which is that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot
These
for
are
some
people who are not committed.
Mm-hmm.
And also people who just don't talk a lot. We talk a lot. We talk a lot. We talk for a living. So it's
This is a house of yappers. Lots of yapping in this house.
Mostly the producer, Turner, who is doing his usual thing where he checks out the wires, makes sure that everything's
I swear to fucking Christ.
I swear to God.
Turner,
don't you
down.
It's literally every episode. Turner, come here.
Dude, it's like by the worst spots, too, dude.
Go, boy.
Because that camera's volatile. Then he goes next to the cords, which are all volatile.
So I'm joined, of course, by my co-hosts. We got Ray Reyes.
Yo, what up?
Sean Dolan.
Hi.
And, of course, our producer, Turner, who is going to find a nice little nook inside this. He likes to create himself a little, what do you call it, like a cocoon?
Yeah, of sorts.
Yeah.
All right, I gotcha.
He's using a blanket.
No, make him work for it.
No, I like to.
I like
if
to
he
give
had to
him
do
help.
that, if he had to do that in the wild, if he had to make himself a hole in a blanket, I'm not going to be there to freaking hold his hand.
Yeah. Well, given the current election coming up, I feel like it's only appropriate that we tackle the subject of cults.
Oh, is that why we're doing it?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
No, that was good. Yeah.
I just think of a theme and then I attach it to stuff.
Right.
You're good at that.
Thanks, man.
Attaching things to stuff.
All right. Well, that felt insincere.
I felt like that implied something gross, but then I can't think about what it was.
Yeah, me neither.
I can't. What would he be attaching? Are you pegging people?
No.
Is he pegging people in this scenario? Okay.
Isaiah, relax. Keep attaching things to stuff.
I like that. Sean's on my side today. This is good vibes. Yeah. You're fucked.
All right. Well.
Yeah. I'm not playing ball the way you expect me to play.
Well, it's episode 8, and the episode title is "It's Not a Cult," because that's what people say when they're in a cult.
So true.
So the two films we're going to be talking about today are, of course, Ari Aster's Midsommar. However you want to say it. Okay. No one knows.
Middle Eastern.
Okay.
Middle East.
Midsommar.
And Panos Cosmatos, I think is how you say his last name. Anyway, Panos Cosmatos
Yeah.
2018 film Mandy.
White people and hard to pronounce names. Huh.
I like
It's
that
Greek,
name.
so it's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
He's like
just other white people. Relax.
He'd make a good astronaut.
You want to explain that?
Well, Panos, what was it again? Cosmatos.
Yeah.
Sounds like the cosmos.
Oh yeah,
Very astute of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice.
I feel smarter after that comment.
Yeah, I think he was the first Russian guy to step foot on the moon. Correct me if I'm wrong.
The director?
Yeah.
He directed Mandy and Step Foot on the Moon.
Yeah.
It's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
That's
the
incredible.
only two things he
I
ever
said,
did.
correct me if I'm wrong. You can do it. If you
I don't know if you're wrong. That's
now
the
you're
problem.
Okay.
Was he wrong?
Yeah.
Why'd you take that away from me?
I'm not even gonna Google it.
I gave him the opportunity, and I'm glad someone did. I don't want to spread
Until you
misinformation.
corrected him, like there was wonder in my eyes.
I just wanted to attach a thing to a stuff and see if it would fit. Just like Zach, but I can't do it the same way.
No.
I still feel like we're talking about pegging. I'm gonna be honest.
This is a lot like how you keep adding cocaine to every episode when no one asks for it.
Yeah.
That's the comment I put on today's video.
Oh yeah.
I said Ray can't help himself.
I don't do cocaine. I don't actually really like cocaine. Doesn't do anything to me.
Much like people who deny they're in a cult, you sound like you do
I sound like I do cocaine. Yeah. I really don't though. I really don't. I wish it did things to me. I wish it made me feel things. It doesn't.
Well, so the two films we're talking about today, what's great about these films is these are pretty unique takes on modern horror because, after the 80s, it became, there was like the corporate 90s thing where everything started to feel a little bit less raw and started to feel like overproduced, like I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
Those kind of films.
No. I don't know. What does that mean?
Well, like I said, they basically companies they were still trying to ride the gravy train from the 80s and early 90s. They were like, well, we'll keep dumping money into. Well, also
were they still slashers?
Yes, most of them, not all of them, but most of them. But what happened was they were starting to pull money out from the 80s dying off, right?
Yeah.
But then with Scream, they saw the success of Scream and they started to pour money back in. So that's when you started to get some of these movies that they're not, they're not like atrocious or anything, but it definitely doesn't feel like it doesn't feel the same, but enough to where it continued to keep horror in the mainstream to some extent,
Yeah.
Like post grunge.
Yeah, that's actually
That's good. Yeah, that's a good analogy. That's a really good analogy.
look at him getting in there.
Yeah. I think the roles are slowly becoming reversed, where I started saying the dumb things and Sean starts adding into the conversation more.
Hold on, guys. I just did a calculation in my head.
Oh yeah, I gotta set the timer because we get a little too loosey goosey sometimes, and I need to make sure. But I'll keep this for me. We don't need to.
Like, for example, have we said the movies yet? No, right?
We did.
Oh, sorry.
Very
Yeah,
impressive.
Midsommar, Mandy. How about?
No, we didn't say Mandy. I heard Midsommar because we did.
No, you said Mandy.
Yeah, we said Mandy.
How about I Know What You Did Last Midsommar, and it's a guy who just Somner. It's Sommer. Fuck! Now I'm messing it up. I Know What You Did Last Midsommar, and it's a guy. He's missing his hand, but he's like tripping balls.
Oh, I don't get the missing hand thing.
Oh,
I didn't watch it.
Oh, you didn't see I Know What You Did
Oh
Last
yeah,
Summer.
if you don't know the dynamics here, Sean, welcome back for the rest of you. But if you've never listened before, Sean is not necessarily a movie guy, and specifically not a horror guy. He enjoys movies, but he's not by any means a connoisseur.
No,
you wouldn't say. But he's really, we're proud of him. I mean, he's really committed himself to this.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
He watches 2 movies a week, if not more sometimes. And actually, wild, just pouring yourself a mojito. I think we found the clue to why you guys have switched roles. He's fucking downing cereal before episode.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
drinking
ready to go.
mojitos. No. This one was, I purposely... Okay, so I want to apologize for the cabin episodes. Did I formally apologize for the cabin episodes? I did not.
No, because we just recorded like 4 episodes in a row.
Back to back. Yeah, no, I was really drunk for the cabin episode, and I did not do Cabin in the Woods any fucking justice because of that. I was all over the place. So now I drink throughout the podcast rather than before. Because then, and I'll take first,
So you can see the decline.
So you can see the decline a little bit better, yeah.
It's a much more immersive experience.
Yeah, and also drinking a lot less, so.
And we're also going to be doing your film first.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. Also,
So,
don't judge me. I've been editing for fucking almost 8 hours straight today, and like all fucking day. This is my relaxed time.
He deserves this. Stop yelling at him.
Fucking Jesus Christ.
I don't think they said anything.
We're not even a popular podcast yet. No one's mad.
No one's upset.
Get off his freaking
Get off
back.
my back.
The only person who calls me out for stuff all the time is Ellis. She's just the other day, she was like, hey, Nev Campbell is absolutely in the craft. And I was like, I know, I remembered after.
Thank
you. She's like, you got it right the first time. And then they brought it up again and you said, wait, maybe I'm wrong. And then she's like, I was screaming. So the point is, and here's the thing, I will not apologize because you know what? We don't have the money for a producer to sit here and make sure everything's on track. I studied 2 movies. I studied 2 movies. I saw The Craft in theaters in 1995 when I was a child.
Yeah, get off his back. Get off his back.
No.
Doesn't mean get on mine. Get on Sean's back. He's got strong legs.
Yeah, get on Sean's back.
He can carry you.
Yeah. Stop making Ray drink.
Stop making...
All right, we
Look
gotta
what you're doing to him.
Look at him. Look at him.
Look at him.
He gets one listen and it's just my dad.
All right, so we're going to hop into today's episode. Thanks for joining us. If you've been listening, we hope you've enjoyed the 7 episodes we've done so far. This is officially our fuck you, we made it.
We made it.
Yeah, we made it, baby.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to buy my mama a house.
Mm.
Okay, well,
Did
before
take
you...
7 episodes?
Yeah, that's all it took, 7 episodes.
Do they take 7 episodes?
We're in episode 7, baby. That means I get a house, right? I'm going to give it to my mom's.
Well, before we try and buy your mom a house,
Yeah.
why don't you tell the fine people out there what the movie Midsommar is about?
Ooh, one of my favorite movies. This is, I don't know, this movie, like, really gets me.
Real quick, whole episode, spoilers, obviously.
Yeah. This is a full-on synopsis of the movie. If you didn't watch the movie, don't fucking listen to me. Synopsis. Sassafras. So the movie starts out, fucking jarring suicide and double homicide. This girl gets messages from her sister, who clearly has a mental illness, who's been struggling with this for years. She calls her boyfriend, being like, hey, I'm worried. She's not answering me. Awful boyfriend.
Worst.
Goes, oh, it's just, she just probably wants attention, and she's like, but you said that it sounded different. And he was like, I say a lot of things, because he's like kind of a dickhead. She goes, fine, you're probably right. He was completely wrong. Her sister fucking decided to stick a hose underneath her parents' door, turn on the car, attach the hose to the car, took another hose. She had split hoses. She had to have split hoses because, like, I just did Ethernet in my room and I split them with the connection. So she had to have the connection. That's how I know,
She took 2 hoses.
She took 2 hoses,
just like Ethernet,
connected to like a little device that split the original hose into it, so that the carbon monoxide went into both holes.
She took 2 hoses and put them out of the tailpipe of a car, and then put them in the house.
Maybe if they fit, dude. You don't know this girl. She might have some ingenuity skills that she wasn't really working on.
2 hoses and a tailpipe. Anyway.
Sounds like someone has a fucking experience over here.
Let's go ahead and try this at home.
And then she took the other one and she taped it to her fucking face, dude.
And not just like, I mean, it's like taped to where like you could like
you can't even get it off. Yeah. Like she was just done, dude. The commitment to taping it to your face like that. It's like not even a gas mask, dude. Tapes it to her face. She dies. This girl is completely distraught. This is the worst time in her life. Little does she know her boyfriend was getting ready to break up with her. Now he can't. And he's an awful boyfriend who very much shows it the entire time. Then out of nowhere goes, oh, we're going to Sweden, me and my boys. I was going to tell you, 2 weeks out. But, you've been grieving the entire time, and I didn't know when to bring it up because you were fucking grieving.
Real bummer.
Real bummer. You were just really killing the vibe every time I was excited about it. You were like, my family's dead. Fucking, yeah, totally brought the mood down. He feels bad, invites her, and, the polite thing for her to do is not go. And she goes anyways.
Because she probably doesn't want to be alone with all her no one else.
Yeah, with her feelings, women, right? Jesus Christ. This is like me doing this synopsis in the perspective of the shitty boyfriend. He's the one telling the story. All right. So they get to Sweden because they went to Sweden. They're college kids who are doing thesis on small town communities and stuff. Against her better judgment, she goes. She clearly has like people pleasing problems the entire time, and just doesn't want to like break up the mood based on her feelings. She's clearly going through shit. But she's like, I don't want to make it everybody else's problem. And then everyone's just like, you're totally fucking making it our problem. And it's just like, because they're all douchebags.
Yeah, they're all super
douchey. And she was just like, worst place. It's like, she needed like real support and she went to the wrong place. Yep. They start doing mushrooms. She gets pressured into doing mushrooms because one guy was just like, oh, we all have to do them at the same time, so we're all tripping at the same time. Also, like, if you're looking at mushrooms like that, you don't understand mushrooms, dude. Everyone's got a personal journey, all right? You go into mushrooms understanding it is a personal experience, and you do not have to force it down anybody else's throat. Anyways.
Okay.
So.
And then what?
So she does mushrooms. She freaks the fuck out. She's in the middle of Sweden by herself. Not by herself, but she runs off by herself because she's tripping balls. She wakes up 6 hours later. They find her in the woods. That's when they pick her up. They bring her back to this community, which they were all studying, which is like clearly off-rip occult. They're all wearing white, super androgynous clothing.
He's like, I like your dress. He's like, it's a smock.
Yeah. And they don't immediately assume it's a cult because they're white liberals and they're being polite on other people's culture. So they don't assume it's a cult. But also, it's a cult of white people. You can kind of tell.
I mean, to be fair, it does look Amishy in the beginning.
It does look very Amishy. So they are being respectful of their culture. They weren't being respectful of their culture. I'm lying. Yeah. They were being super disrespectful. The one guy's like vaping the entire time. Yeah, they're being completely disrespectful of the culture altogether. And so weird shit just starts happening. There's a lot of imagery that's like they're just trying to like be like, oh yeah, it's the culture. That's it's different here, but it's really like kind of gross imagery. A lot of like bears on fire. And then they get to a part where they're like, we're going to have the ceremony. The ceremony's super weird at the feast that they're having. It's all very like what do you call that? Symmetric, the way they're sitting and the way they're like doing things. It's very in sync, kind of like, what do you call those? Like synchronized swimming videos. Yeah. That's what it reminded me of. Like, just like, they're all it's all like kind of way too choreographed. But it's like, you can tell they have years of practice. They get to these cliffs after they're done eating. And they made it very clear that the dinner was like for two specific people. So they get to these cliffs and then those two older people walk up to those cliffs and just fucking drop, dude. They just drop off the side of the cliff. One guy did not die. They smashed his head in with a mallet. One guy knew that was going to happen the whole time based on, like, some word that they gave. I don't remember what the word was. And he kind of knew, and he was, like, kind of laughing about it. Super douchey people.
And then the guy, like, after they're all freaking out, like, what the fuck? And then he's like, I'm sorry, I should have warned you better. Like, yeah, man, maybe at all.
Yeah. And so, so now everyone's freaking out. The dude's, the girl's boyfriend, because, like, this is also bringing up a lot of trauma for her because she just lost her whole family and then just witnessed 2 people kill themselves. So now this is, like, bringing up a lot of trauma. She needs him, and he is nowhere to be seen because he wants to write his thesis, and he's arguing with his boy about writing the thesis, and he just doesn't give a shit about her.
So funny. He just walks in to the housing area where they're staying, and he goes, that was crazy, huh? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, by the way, I'm stealing your idea.
Yeah. Just fucking steals his homie's idea. Just, like, not really there for his girlfriend. This guy's a fucking total piece of shit. Gingers, you know? Am I right? So...
No, he wasn't ginger.
He was definitely ginger.
No.
Definitely ginger.
I thought he was blonde.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't blonde. He was like a... Wasn't he ginger?
No.
Megan. Google him.
You can ask her all you want.
Google him. I swear to God, he's a ginger.
At the end of the day, even if you're right, okay, so gingers take a hit.
Yeah, gingers take a hit. Ginger's taking a solid hit right now. Ginger's taking a solid hit.
All right, continue.
It's bad representation for gingers, is what I'm saying.
Gingers in this podcast. Sorry, good.
Okay.
He's really trying to make up for that cabin in the woods shit.
Oh yeah. I'm going into great detail.
Like,
this is also one of my favorite movies because it's like the imagery, is all very mushroom driven. So a lot of nature, a lot of big like long distance scenic shots, a lot of textures. They do a lot of playing with textures in this movie.
So the one couple that we didn't talk about yet that's there is actually a different couple who
came to the commune with a different person.
Right, yeah. And they're the first ones to really get motivated to leave. They're like, we're going.
Yeah, they decide to pack up. Turns out the guy leaves without the girl, but they don't show him leaving. They just show one of the cult people explaining to the girl that he left without her. And she's freaking out. She's like, he'd never do that. I don't know what's going on. She disappears. The main character gets concerned, tries to bring it up with her boyfriend. Boyfriend not having it at all. He's just focused on asking questions. The whole time also, he's getting hit on by another ginger.
Correct. That one is a ginger.
They both have very similar hair.
Okay.
Well, anyways. So he sucks, cause he's just kind of not doing anything about it. He's not saying no. He's not pushing her away. He's just kind of letting it all happen. While he's also trying to go for this thesis. One of the guys, the guy who was vaping the whole time, pisses on a tree. Turns out it was their burial grounds.
Tree of their dead ancestors.
He pissed on their sacred dead ancestral tree.
Very American of him.
He disappears. And then black guy starts taking way too many fucking photos. They kill him while they were wearing vape dude's skin. And then, at some point they hear a yell on, in the commune. They don't really say what happened. They just hear a woman yelling for like a second and they stop and like look around, but that was about it. Then it's just the main character and the shitty boyfriend left, right? They kind of all just kind of got picked off. You really don't know what happened to them. It's like vague stuff that might have happened.
Classic.
And so they give them mushrooms like almost immediately. The girl starts dancing with all the other girls. They start like kind of just like fucking with the other guy. He's like tripping balls, and the old guy just like claps at him really hard, which fucked his world up. Worst way to treat anyone on mushrooms. Don't do that to your friends. That's terrifying. All right? Do it to him because he's a shitty person, but not to your friends. If your friends are tripping balls, Talk to them nicely. Let them have a good time. All right? They're learning things about themselves. Anyways, she starts doing this contest with the other girls, and they're dancing. She starts learning their language. They're not even learning their language. They're just talking gibberish at each other and just understanding each other because they're both tripping balls, which is the magical power of mushrooms, is all I'm saying. You just understand people, you know, you just kind of get it. It's that empathy.
And while that's happening, they the ginger girl in the community invites the boyfriend to come for a little fuck sesh.
Yep, gives them mushrooms. She goes off and the puke thing. So the
we can get to that later.
We'll get into that later. So
it's gotten past overview and into a lot of specifics.
A lot of specifics. So she gets onto a like little buggy and carriage. They take her around because she won the Mayflower contest, and so she became the May Queen. He goes off and gets pulled into like this like kind of like auditorium, kind of like chapel like area, surrounded by every woman in the village, completely nude, and the girl that has been trying to fuck him the whole movie is sitting in the middle. Weirdest sex scene in the world, because they're all moaning in synchronization to the girl moaning. He's tripping the fuck out. Like, in his face, you can see he is just like, what the fuck is happening?
Not enough to not do it.
Not enough to not cheat on his girlfriend. Well, I mean, he was partly was coerced into it. Like, I'm not like, I think there was definitely intentions of him cheating in like there coerced.
Two horses getting at it.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Coerced.
Coerced.
The H's.
Coerced.
Yeah, coerced.
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 Okay, I'm not getting that anytime soon.
Coors Light?
Like a crisp Coors Light?
Like a crisp Coors Light.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, he fucks her in front of
he gets a pack of Coors, and so he starts fucking like in front of all the women. He gets a pack of Coors.
And then he comes and freaks out.
Then he comes and he freaks out because he gets post-nut clarity, and he's like, well, what the fuck did just happen? And then he runs out butt naked, runs across the whole commune, finds this one place, walks into this barn, and that's when he finds the one couple, the guy who left his girlfriend on the commune, ripped apart and being hung from the ceiling with his lungs sticking out of his body. And that's when he realizes, they're gonna kill us all. But they already had, so it was too late. They knock him out. They decide to paralyze him with drugs, and then the May Queen gets to choose who gets sacrificed as their tradition. She had witnessed the cheating incident because she stumbled on it, and then all the girls cried with her. It was the first time in the entire movie which anyone had shared any empathy with her. Which is a super big moment for her because she had been like surrounded by terrible people who were not allowing her to grieve.
The only person who even got close is the other
cult guy. Mm-hmm. So she was caught in a vulnerable moment where no one was actually giving her any like actual emotional gravity except for this cult. And so when they asked her to choose between a random person who would be sacrificed and her boyfriend, who she had just witnessed cheating to be sacrificed, she chose her boyfriend. And then they put him in a bear, which was the symbolism of the bear. And they throw a bunch of people in the barn, a triangle-shaped barn, by the way. This is a theme. And then they light the barn on fire, killing the boyfriend, burning the remains of the other people, and then a couple of the cult people. It was about 9 people died. Also, very fun thing that I don't know if you guys noticed when the one guy that kept like kind of like talking to her the whole time, the one that led them to the commune, he explains to her that he was also an orphan because his parents died in a barn fire. Yeah. So it kind of all comes together. His parents were also sacrificed, is what they imply. And then at the end, she's just staring at the barn on fire. Everyone's crying, and she's the only one smiling. Because she kind of finally got hers. Thank you.
Really great job, Ray.
Thank you.
Really great job.
Thank you.
Entirely too long. That was a 10-minute snap.
Was it really? I was wondering what
it's
the
a
time...
long movie, dude.
I wanted to ask what the time count was.
Okay. So
it's a long movie.
So you did a good job. It's just for the purposes of the future, we'll have to do.
I hit a lot of details.
Yeah, we'll have to do overviews and then details later. But yeah, pretty good overview. Like if you have not seen that movie, he pretty much nailed the key elements that you need to know to understand what's going on in the movie. Or if you watch it and you didn't fully understand because maybe you were on some kind of hallucinogenics.
Do not do mushrooms and watch this movie.
There were people. I went to see it at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Why would they do that?
And there were people who were like laughing at the weirdest parts, and you're like, oh, they are tripping.
They're definitely
balls.
Tripping balls.
Yeah.
Oh man, that does sound fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Do not do this.
Yeah, I don't recommend watching horror movies and doing mushrooms. Also, there's a lot of psychedelic use in a lot of horror movies. But I would not do.
Well, especially the two we picked today.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think you can get much more psychedelic than Midsommar and Mandy. I mean,
this was like a good pick. There were much more similarities in those movies than I originally thought. Like once it finished, I started kind of thinking about it, and I was like, "There's a lot of similarities in these two movies."
See that? That's why they pay me the fucking big bucks.
Yeah,
because he attaches things to stuff.
Attach things to stuff. It is a long movie. It's 148 minutes.
It is a very long movie. Actually, I didn't realize how long it was. It is pretty slow too. It's a very slow burn. Yeah. And this is, I think, on this watch for I guess since I've watched it already, because like you watch it like the fifth time, you're not as captivated.
Yeah.
And so like I was just like, man, this is fucking really long, dude. So there's some shots that it's just like take forever, which I'm more impatient to that sort of thing if I've seen it already.
And there's actually like another 45 minutes or so that he shot that he was just aware of. Like A24 would have let him keep it in.
Oh yeah.
Like he could have probably made a 3-hour horror movie, but it definitely would have been too much. He was aware of that, but he also was very close to it because he wrote and directed it. So
yeah, that makes sense. That's wild. That's a feat though, because like you have to it's like you have to censor yourself because there's no one being like, hey, this type of you can't do this because it's too long or whatever,
right. So totally forgot about this part of the theme, but I listened to Eli Roth's what is it, The History of Horror, where he was having interviews with different horror directors, and he kind of talked about I guess where he came up with the idea, and he had this really rough breakup, and he wrote this was like his way of venting that. And,
you can feel that though, for sure.
Yeah, because it has a lot of the themes in it. And another thing that kind of slipped in there that you can see from Hereditary also, it's a thing that he's always had like a childhood fear of is like head trauma. And it's just like all over these movies. Just
head
like
trauma?
Yeah,
like
the smashing of the head, that's like, probably like one of the...
Yeah, he likes showing that.
Yeah.
There's a few shots of you just see a head getting pummeled.
Yeah.
You want to do some fun facts?
Let's do some fun facts.
Okay, we'll do some fun facts. So all the U.S. scenes, all the scenes where they're, before they fly out, where that was all shot in Utah.
Oh, okay.
Which, kind of interesting.
Very dark.
Yeah, it didn't need to be in Utah.
No, because it felt like mostly sets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing specific that needed to be shot in Utah, really. But,
probably just cheaper.
Yeah, just cheap,
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of cults, shout outs to the Mormons.
Yeah.
May you all find your hats and tablets or whatever. The rest is filmed in they looked through supposedly the tablets that had the secret knowledge of the books of Mormon were looking through a hat. A magic hat where you could see. It's a whole thing. It's really fun to. We don't have time for that today, but if you ever get a chance, learn about that. It is hilarious. Okay, I know I'm being disrespectful, and
Fucking Mormons, who cares?
The only person watching this right now is a ginger Mormon. And they're fucking...
He's so mad,
They're
dude.
so pissed. They're so pissed. And rightfully so. You guys are being rude to them.
It's just Carrot Top.
He just converted.
Yeah.
So the rest of the film was all filmed in Hungary.
Oh.
Which is actually really interesting because it's
Yeah.
because it seems like just go to fucking Sweden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's cheaper to film in Hungary. I don't know, but either way, I mean it's gorgeous. The entire everything once they leave the U.S. and it also has a stark contrast, like on purpose. You know, like it's meant to be
dark and then bright there.
It really does take you on a journey. Like if you pay attention to the way the film happens, it takes you on the journey of like being in this dark place. And what it's like to, like, if you were a person getting sucked into a cult, that movie is a perfect journey for how you would wind up in one, right?
Yeah.
Like, you start in this awful dark place, everybody around you isn't really supporting you, and then you get around these new people, and, you know, you ask yourself the kind of question, like, who would get sucked into a cult? But then you look at, like, these people who she's supposed to be friends with and trust, and they're all just, they don't care about how she feels about anything.
No.
I don't pay attention to any of that. But these new people are actually like catering to her emotions and trying to make her feel comfortable and like going out of their way to make her welcome.
And the first act of the movie, they do a good job at, because like the first act of the movie, there's only like 5 or 6 characters.
Yeah.
Before they actually enter like the village. And all of the conversations that they're having leading up to that, a lot of them are done through mirrors. Yeah. Because like it's just kind of like signifying that she has no real connection to these people.
Yeah.
And when people are being insincere, they're usually like talking through a mirror at that point. In the beginning of the movie, just because they're kind of showing like that person is simply reflecting something different than what they're actually feeling.
Right. Yeah. This is pretty funny, but the Swedish, when they saw the movie, they thought it was just like, they thought it was pretty funny. I mean, there's parts that are obviously funny, but they were like, oh, this is like a dark comedy, just a little over the top dark comedy.
Yeah,
like they really were like, it's not scary, like kind of gross at parts, but it's just funny.
It's not scary to them because they're Swedish, but they're scary to us.
What?
We call this a Tuesday.
They do something pretty interesting with the subtitles. They use them in the film at some points when they want you to know what they're saying and is being communicated, but it's all pretty basic, like stuff that's not very informative, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, whenever it's like when the guy's yelling at him for pissing on the tree, right?
Mm-hmm.
They show the subtitles of what he says. But then when there's parts where they're talking and not telling the Americans what they're saying after, those parts of subtitles are left out. And it's like meant to isolate you and kind of like leave you
I feel like the movie does a really good job at like kind of like keeping you vulnerable. Like the emotions that they convey are like a lot of vulnerability, which is like I always felt like was fascinating because it is very reflective of what you go through on mushrooms. Because mushrooms is just like very heightened, vulnerable emotions where like you can kind of like almost be triggered by like any little thing. Like everything's so over heightened on mushrooms, which I feel like they kind of plays towards the idea of cults. Like that's when they're, trying to get you is when you're like most vulnerable, like emotionally, and like mushrooms very much create a sense of vulnerability, which is why like psychedelics do kind of get used by cult leaders a lot. Like there's theories with the whole was the comic cult, what were they called, Heaven's Gate. The Heaven's Gate guys, like they talked about how like they would have like these weird fog machines in the beginning, like where they felt like there might have been like smoke coming in the room, and they would have these euphoric feelings at some of the cult leaders because like they were probably pumping shit in the air.
Well, this also adds to the thing about what they do so well in Midsommar, which is create a sense of community, right? But they do that they do that not through just like involving you in stuff. Like their communal stuff it's literally everything. Like even the way that they express emotion, right? like, when she's upset and she's crying, right? And after she finds him cheating, they all cry with her.
Right.
Right. When
they're all sharing her pain.
When the guys,
you guys are too positive about these guys.
Well, I'm saying these are like
that was weird.
No, I just mean like there are positive elements that you could understand why someone might get lured into it.
There are positive elements to community, Sean.
If they were yelling back at me when I was yelling at seeing my boyfriend cheating on me, I'd be like, all right, relax.
I really
you guys
care
aren't
about
empaths. You're not. All right?
I don't even care about it like that.
Oh my God, Jesus.
Yeah, it also doesn't.
You
need
guys
to
are
be,
acting like a care.
It doesn't need to be everything. Like you don't need to come together. Like that's pretty weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
This is too much. Everyone was annoying there. All the Americans.
Yeah,
honestly, including her.
Yeah.
Oh, the main girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just like, I'm having problems. All right. Well, why'd you come?
I can't believe I'm saying, but the only people that I didn't find annoying were the British.
Which British? Oh, yeah. They were British. The two British people.
Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it.
They were the only reasonable ones.
They were like, we saw deaths. We're leaving.
Two people committed suicide in front of them, and they were like, oh, no.
Yeah.
This feels like a volatile situation. I don't want to be here.
With this, yeah.
Also, what was that word that the guy Googled, or that he knew that they couldn't Google because there was no internet for the people jumping? Was the word literally jumping off a cliff suicide?
It might have been like a word for like traditional sacrifice or something. Because
that's maybe because there's one word. I was like, that was crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy that they have a word for that, and he's just like, oh, that.
He was probably the most sensible, but the reason you really dreaded his character was because he was like smiling the entire time that he was like watching.
This guy was annoying too. Didn't like him.
Like outside of like him smiling, and you didn't really do much.
I mean, first of all. Yeah, sure, the other guy's copying, but he's still being weirdly gatekeeping about a thesis, dude. Just fucking let him do it. Oh,
yeah, that too.
I discovered the Swedish. Shut up.
I discovered the Swedish.
Bro, this is so annoying.
Well, no, but what he does say in it, he does say that before they even got there, that he was going to be doing his thesis on
he did say he was planning it.
And then the other guy was like, me too. It was like, bro.
Yeah,
it was like the equivalent of like being $20 plus $1 at like fucking The Price is Right. That's basically what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was like, actually, $201. And they're like, all right, dude, come on.
I mean, sort of.
Probably a better analogy, but I don't know what it is.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I was like, I feel like you'd be bad at prices right.
Me?
I think he'd probably be good at it.
I'd be pretty good.
Yeah, he's got a gambling addiction.
Yeah. I've also been poor my whole life, so I've been looking at prices.
Yeah. Okay.
I know how much things cost because I know I'll never afford it.
So, also, wait, I just want to clarify one thing about that. No, I'm sorry. This is about the movie. And
go ahead.
I believe you.
I was thinking about that yesterday, about how often, because actually, this was, out of all the movies I've seen, I don't know how I felt about it. It was good. It was really slow. But,
it was really slow.
It did make me think a lot afterwards. And when I was like laying in bed, I was like trying to like figure out, I was like, wait, how often does this happen? Because, you mentioned at the end about how, maybe they sacrifice themselves as parents. The guy that brought him over to Sweden, his parents maybe sacrifice themselves in the same way. But then I thought they said it was like every 90 years, too, at the beginning. Remember? What?
Oh.
How often is this happening?
No, well, I don't know about the celebration itself, but they were very
they imply that there's regular ritual going on.
Yeah.
But
so
there's
the ritual,
specific one every 90 years, which is the
Midsommar, like
the one they went to.
So like the whole like Mayflower thing. I think that happened yearly because they talked about he showed pictures of the other May Queen. So he already had pictures on his phone. So it was within his lifetime that there was another celebration.
Yeah.
But the ritual of them dropping off of the cliff, that happened every time like someone was at their life cycle.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was probably every 70 years.
That's 72 years, yeah.
Yeah, or depending on, how many old people are in their
the
comedy.
end with the 9 lives. Would that be every
I think it was
years,
lighting.
or is that every 90?
I don't know.
Yeah, they don't.
Like a lot of the movie was vague, and that's why I was like kind of like thinking about it too. I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't.
Well, I think to some degrees, like their culture is still left vague because of because you don't know where like a lot of these traditions, like there's only so much time in the movie. The movie was already long, so they couldn't like really world build on like a lot of the aspects of where the stuff came from in their culture. But
So even the guy that invited him, we don't necessarily know how, like if his parents died in the cult or if that's when he was brought in. Like the girl.
Yeah, they don't specify.
They don't specify.
But it is interesting to think. Like,
because he could have been from the cult, or he could have but he said that his family died in a fire. So they're either volunteers or they're outsiders.
He could have been just like her and won the main queen.
Yeah, maybe he was
the
main queen.
I mean, that's probably why he related to her so hard and was able to kind of bring her in because he was brought in a very similar way.
Yeah.
I feel like they were too comfortable with death to not just be ideologically like that. It seems like they have regular ritual sacrifice happening yearly.
That's true.
Yeah.
Or at least enough to where everybody has already seen something like that before. So.
My favorite part about this movie is probably that is the most accurate depiction of mushrooms that I have ever seen in a movie. Like hands down. Like I would change a few things, but like it is like very similar feelings, very similar. The way they play with textures, like when she takes the mushrooms, like in the right before the dance contest, you can spot faces like in the trees and shit. Like everything's breathing constantly. It's like such a very good depiction of how mushrooms feels and looks like.
If you haven't seen it, the dance contest isn't like a dance off. It's whoever can stay up the longest. I just wanted to clarify.
They're tripping balls and they're doing like funny, fucking though. Around the rosy, whatever.
It would be pretty funny though if they're just like breakdancing.
Step it up or step up, whatever it's called.
Yeah, step up.
Everyone's like sweating. It's
step
raining.
Up to the cult. Okay, so
everyone's in like baggy jeans and tank tops.
A few more
sweat
fun
guards
things.
on their arms and shit.
So there's a mural they show at the opening of the film.
Yeah,
and like a mural that pops up. It's the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
If you pause it on that mural, it does the entire story just in pictures.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's really
they
really
do
impressive.
a lot of like great foreshadowing and like very weird, uncomfortable art.
Yeah,
like when she's crying in the beginning of the movie and she's like sitting on her bed, the big wall like thing is like a little like kid with a crown on staring at a giant bear.
Yeah.
And her boyfriend dies in the bear.
Yeah.
Rug.
And then the whole thing when the pube in the drink, like the ginger girl that wants to sleep with her boyfriend, they explain, like they imply all this is happening, and then the camera pans across an entire like visual of
shot for shot of how
that would
happen,
go.
Yeah.
Like they show like a girl like with her legs spread open, and then a close up of pubes, and then the pube in the drink, like it's the whole thing is right there.
Yeah.
So it's also this interesting thing where like everything is kind of right in front of them, and they don't even know it.
They don't even know it because they're all stuck on their own intentions, and the only reason she's not noticing it is because she's just grieving the entire time.
Man, what's my excuse? I was watching a movie.
When they first get there, you were absorbing it for the first time, so it's a lot to take.
Yeah.
When they first get there, there's some kids playing, and they ask the guy vaping. He asks, "What are the kids playing?" They say, "It's a game called Skin the Fool." And then later, they skin that fool.
Yeah.
And then they wear his skin.
He was the one in the fire. He had the little jester's hat.
Yep.
Right. That was it. That's fucked up.
They pulled all his insides out and stuffed him full of hay.
Yeah. I think that there's not very many. This movie feels like it does its own thing for sure. The only thing I would say that has like any homages to other horror would probably be that opening shot of them in the car when they're getting to Sweden. Kind of was vaguely reminiscent of The Shining. Like The Shining, they have that I don't even know how they did it back then, but that shot that just follows the car, which like now it was probably a drone shot.
Well, there's definitely some Wicker Man elements in there for sure.
Yeah.
Like the pagan cult outside of the norm,
I don't think I watched Wicker Man.
Oh man, the Nick Cage one's fucking stupid and ridiculous, but it's funny because he wears a bear costume in that too, and he punches a lady.
Nice. Fuck yeah,
punches a bunch
dude.
of ladies. Crazy.
I want to do a Nick Cage marathon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you got, Sean?
Not necessarily an homage, but this movie, I did notice, like a lot of horror, it makes me say this line in my head where it's like, yeah, he was a douche, but he didn't deserve that.
Yeah.
I get that so much, you know. I mean, the guy pissed on an ancestral tree, and then he didn't really apologize, but man.
Did they have to wear his skin?
Yeah, that was like, relax.
Yeah, you could have just sacrificed him, but you had to make it a whole thing.
And let's be honest, that was a cheating boyfriend, but he was coerced. He was.
He was. No, he was.
Dude, that was. She could get in trouble for that.
Yeah, he was drug and sexually assaulted. Like that was date rape for sure.
I mean, what are you gonna at that point? You're gonna say no when they're putting you a trail of flowers going there, and there's all these scary people around you. You're like, shaking.
I'm gonna follow
He's
the
shaking.
flowers.
He looked like he was cold.
Yeah. He was scared. He was fucking scared the whole time.
This is not good. Don't do that.
Yeah, no one's good in this movie.
No.
One of the people, what they do to him is a little fun thing called a blood eagle, and that's the guy.
The blood eagle.
Yep, that's the guy who's strung up, where his ribs were pointing out. Their blood eagle is an old Viking torture thing where they would take your ribs and pull them out backwards so they look like wings.
There's no real recorded evidence that anyone's actually attempted it though. So like this is one that I like looked into. No one's it's a thing that has been written about. There's no evidence that they ever actually did it to someone or it actually works.
Judging by all of the awful medieval torture that people used to do,
someone probably tried it.
Not far fetched.
It's not far fetched, but
it wasn't done on a regular basis.
There's no evidence that it was ever actually successfully done.
Yeah, I feel like after like the second or third rib, you're like, all right, this is a lot.
Because the implication is that they're still alive and their lungs are still breathing.
Yeah.
Which is like it's like if you've gotten that far, you've ripped apart a person that much, they're probably dead. Before. Yeah.
Fun extra things. Danny's last name is Ardor. That's the name of the
his last name is Hardar?
No. Danny, the main character, the girl.
The woman.
Her last name is Ardor, which in Swedish translates to
Hardar.
Flame or fire. Flame or fire.
Oh, nice,
which
dude.
later envelops her.
This movie's all about symbolism.
Oh yeah. And finally our last little fun thing, a little Easter egg for all you fans of horror out there.
Yeah.
In the scene where they're carrying her on that little platform and walking her towards the triangle barn they're going to set on fire, you know? Well, you remember when they're carrying her? As they're doing it in the background, you can see it's crazy. You can see we're going to have to put this up on the
I'll put it up
if we do a reel of it.
Run that.
Yeah.
But they show her sister's face in the trees. And then all the like underbrush is the hose going up to her mouth.
Was that her sister's face?
Yeah.
I just saw a face.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it was her sister's face.
Yeah. There's like a line of flowers that looks like
I know exactly the scene that you're talking about too.
It's fucking cool as shit.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, the mushrooms. Every time I watch it, because I have this for some reason like mushrooms like makes you hyperventilate a lot. People tell you to breathe, but you're gonna breathe anyways. So they did a lot of like the actors did a great job portraying mushrooms because like they're all like and like
you make it sound like they're the mushrooms.
What?
The actors did a great job portraying mushrooms.
Oh, portraying mushrooms.
Yeah, I really believed he was.
I really believed he was a mushroom.
A fun guy.
He seemed like a pretty fun guy.
He was a fun guy.
He's a fun guy. All right. We're gonna get here.
Zach's clearly not a mushroom.
Fucking fucking downer, dude.
I like doing the office deadpan when you guys do stuff now.
I never noticed you doing it.
Yeah. I figure it's not going to end up, but just in case.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in now.
All right, so we're going to go.
Every white guy wants to be Jim.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I
thought about it. I would do it. Dude, that'd work.
Who doesn't want to be
every white guy swears on Jim.
Who doesn't want to bully an autistic guy and then steal someone's girlfriend?
Literally, it just got quiet.
Yeah.
Everyone.
All right, so we went a little long on this one, but we're going to wrap it up with Rotten Tomatoes scores. What do you guys think? We're going to start with critics. Start with critics.
I think critics gave it like an 80, because I feel like A24 usually hits some higher.
Sure, yeah.
I think there's going to be, I think critics are higher than the audience. Let's say almost a 20-point differential. I'll go 84 critic, 64 audience.
64 audience. I'm gonna say
84-64.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going crazy.
I said, what did I say? 80.
80.
80. I'll go 87 on audience score.
And an 80
on 80 on critic score.
Bro.
What?
83 and 63.
63?
Dude.
Holy shit, dude.
Dude.
Sean's getting really good at this.
What the heck?
I think Sean was truly upset with what happened early on with the different movies getting scores they didn't deserve, and so now he's like real cautious. Like he's really.
So critic score was what, 80?
83% for critics and then 63% for audience.
Audiences didn't like it that much.
Yeah, I think what happens with that is with both of these films.
Y'all need to do mushrooms more.
With both of these films, I think it brought in a lot of people who are not standard horror audiences, but it also brought over horror audiences to something that's they call it elevated horror more often than not, but it's just the modern horror is tends to bring in a lot more of the art house directors and stuff now, because like it gives people a chance to express things without having to make those 2000s dialogue heavy like I love all those movies from back in the day, but you go back and watch them and you're like, oh, there's like not a whole lot of substance beyond what's written there, and I think horror gives people an outlet.
I feel like with a lot of modern horror, and this is probably like the Midsommar is probably the best example of this, is like because you do see some of it in old horror, right, where it's like the characters going through things during going through a horrific time, but now you're starting to see like the entire basis of what you're afraid of is based on like the shit that the main characters are going through. Yeah. So with like Hereditary, it was like the loss of like the sister and all the fucked up things that followed it, and like the mental degradation of the people during it while this fucked up thing is happening. Yeah. But like it's almost like the fear is not the actual thing itself that the movie is about. The fear is more the emotional struggles that whatever the character is going through, and I feel like that's more or less a underlining factor in a lot of new modern horror.
Exactly, and I think you can tell that with like Jordan Peele, with some of his films.
It's more internalized fear.
Yeah, I think that each generation creates their own like style to what they're making, and that's just a new style. They're acting as if these directors are like are like coming into horror and go, oh, how can we make this good or legitimate? These guys are just making movies. They're not trying to be anything. They're trying to make like a cool movie that they enjoy. And in the 80s, a lot of the 80s was like, let's get wild and make something crazy and weird. And now it's like the culmination of like 100 years of filmmaking has created this really cool new way of making horror. That's all it is.
I also think that it has a lot to do with just society's openness to like mental health recently.
Sure, yeah.
Where it's just like back in the day, like a lot of these themes were things that like your parents would just be like, oh, it's all in your head type of thing, where there's an underlining fear about like, our mental health like degrading and like not looking into things and just letting like your emotions just kind of run rampant and shit. And I think a lot of like new age horror is kind of feeding on that. Like,
yeah, they're like,
fear.
no, it's not in your head. It's the Swedish.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Real.
It's real.
All right, so we're gonna wrap up this with the budget and box office. How much money do you think they spent to make Midsommar? Midsommar.
I don't know. I feel like this is a weird one because like
It's hard to tell, right?
it was long, it was artsy, but
It wasn't Hungary though.
Yeah, I do feel like it doesn't feel too expensive either. It's not like the huge actors, right? Or maybe. I'll go 13 million.
13 million. Okay.
I'll say like 8 million.
Nice. 9 million.
Whoa!
Okay.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Okay. Now for all the marbles.
That's Price is Right. You just proved me wrong.
Well, actually, all the marbles would be the next film added. But for all the marbles of this film.
Oh, how much it made?
How much box office? What do you think it made?
I feel like it was a lot. I heard about it so much.
Yeah.
Go 80 million.
Okay.
I literally was going to say 80 million, but
say 80 million.
yeah, I'll say 80 million too.
You got to go over under.
Oh, yeah.
85.
85?
I'll go
Okay.
82. I'm switching.
Oh, Jesus.
48 million.
48 million?
got
Well,
lucky.
we overshot
Yeah,
it.
you got lucky.
I take it back. I said 80 million.
It still made a decent amount of money considering, though. Like, it wasn't like...
Yeah, I mean, it almost, quadrupled
Yeah.
itself or whatever?
For sure.
Yeah. Or
Sorry,
wait.
I
no,
just
more
have
than
high
that.
standards.
All right.
Well, that was our coverage of Midsommar.
Also, I want to say, in
yeah.
this day and age, I feel like 80 million for, like, the movie it was, like, where it's just, like, I mean, horror's got it. I feel like there is a little bit of, like, reinvigoration to horror right now. But, like, when it came out, we were just stacked on Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So to have made 80 million in the box office
really good.
being outside of a Marvel movie
48
is
million.
fucking, or 48 million.
Yeah. But still really good.
Still really good.
Yeah. To make that kind of profit. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, dude, imagine the amount of stuff you could get with $80 million.
Yeah. I feel like people are getting tired of Marvel and we're starting to see more horror movies.
I'm trying to spread misinformation. I said 80 million.
Did you?
I said 80 million.
Marvel's fun and can be substantive, but overall, it is lacking substance in some ways where you might want something a little bit deeper or something a little more.
Oh yeah.
Covering the human experience.
I'll say this. I said this before, and I'll say it again. The best superhero movies have been films that are in other genres while being in the superhero universe. So, like, Logan is a Western. Dark Knight is a crime drama. Joker is a loner film. Like, when they make a superhero film, like a film in the superhero universe, it's good.
Yeah.
You know, Blade is a horror movie.
Not Blade Trinity, though.
No, Blade Trinity's garbage.
Comedy.
Yeah.
For the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're moving on to Mandy. Cosmatos. Did I get that right? Panos Cosmatos.
Panos Cosmatos,
Panos
dude.
Cosmatos.
That's
writer,
a fucking stage name.
Writer-director. He had a co-writer on that, too. It's from 2018, starring Nicolas Cage. Old Nick Cage back in action. This movie kind of, I don't know if you know this.
It is post-bankruptcy, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but this movie's also like after he kind of went on this tear of just trying to pay some bills. And when an actor's got to pay some bills and they are not on the top of the food chain anymore, I mean, they do some fucking bad stuff.
Yeah.
He did a run of pretty awful movies, one of which being Left Behind, I believe, was the Left Behind series about people that get left behind after the rapture happens. I mean, really rough stuff. But this movie really made everybody go, oh, no, he's back on his game. And, man, he took advantage. I mean, everything after this movie, there was still a couple of, hit and misses.
I'm a huge Nicolas Cage fan, but for all of the wrong reasons.
There's a great YouTube clip called Nicolas Cage loses his shit, and it's just a compilation of Nicolas Cage stuff. It's so funny. Yes,
dude, he's already getting quoted for long legs. Like it's already a meme. It's like there's already memes from it because he's amazing.
Sean, you have a question?
Yeah, actually, about when I break this movie down for you folks. You said it was a 3-part. It's divided into 3 sections, right?
Yeah.
Now, I really did miss, I guess, I went on my phone a couple times, so apologies. But the first one, it did give a label at the beginning, the first chapter.
Boy, it was horned up.
What was the 3? What were the 3? I was.
I forget the name of the first one. You caught it,
you
right?
wore mushroom socks, dude.
Lock in.
I'm sorry.
Lock in.
What was it? So one was something mountain. And then it gave the time reference 1984, I think it was.
So it's just the mountain. Oh, okay.
So it was like something mountain, and then the second one was Dawn of the Shadow Children.
Yeah, the cult.
The cult.
And
yeah.
so that first one, listen, Zach was a little misleading. Let me tell you something, because this movie might be divided into 3 parts, but that first act is really just an introduction into the setting.
Mm-hmm.
We have basically you're introduced to this couple who, it's Nicolas Cage, this other lady, Mandy, was his girlfriend. And you see, she seems like she's going to be the main character, because it's kind of focusing on her. And she's a terrible customer service person.
Yeah, she's awful at her job.
Why do you say that?
Just your general demeanor. She doesn't really talk much. And this lady walks in as part of the cult that we're introduced to at the beginning of the second act. Now, you might be saying, Sean, but aren't you going to keep talking about the first? That was it. We were just introduced to the couple. That's really all that happened.
Yeah, that's all that happened.
They're in an isolated area in the woods.
Minding their own business.
She
works at the local,
general
store, and he's a lumberjack.
He is.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what he does?
Mm-hmm. They show him in the beginning, sawing trees down.
He's just been doing that as a hobby. I mean,
yeah, they don't really say what he does, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Don't quote Zach on that.
In the very beginning, he's sawing down trees with other guys.
Anyone can do that.
Maybe, and then they get airlifted out on a helicopter.
You've done that with a couple of your buddies, rented out a helicopter, chopped some wood.
Yeah, we totally have to do this now.
I don't know. I feel like Zach's making a lot of assumptions. Were they in uniform?
All right, we got 30
They
minutes.
weren't in uniform.
We got 30 minutes
Exactly.
to cover
We gotta take Zach on a lumberjacking trip.
I'm probably the only one here who's cut a fucking tree down.
Exactly. So you should know.
I should be taking you guys on a lumberjack trip.
Technically, the amount of weed I've smoked, I've cut down countless
Well, you're telling me
trees.
you were a lumberjack?
Lumberjack, dude?
Okay.
Fuck,
hey, nice
dude.
wood.
Because he's pegging people.
Excuse me. Like I was saying, Act 2.
Tell these people.
Act 2 comes in. So when the cult comes in, and the guy is essentially, they call him Jeremiah, and he's sort of like a Jesus type figure. And he brings the people into town, and one of the ladies in the cult gets introduced to Mandy, and she's like, "Oh, what's up? We'll be seeing you around, baby." And they, out of nowhere, almost immediately, action kicks off. They go into their house when they're asleep with a bunch of biker alien guys. It was weird. These guys, they bought drugs off of them, and I don't know, they were like aliens, all black, riding ATVs. It was a lot to take in.
Whoa.
Oh, all black, as in dripping with like oil.
Leather,
okay.
They were leather clad.
Yes. I would assume actually that they wouldn't know the idea of race. I think they were that insane.
They were so strung out on whatever had devoured their brains that they were no longer human.
Yeah.
To be worried about that.
So, okay.
They had some human elements.
They had human elements, but not enough to
if you
blame one specific race.
If you haven't seen Mandy...
It's really easy to make white people feel guilty.
This one wasn't on us either, okay? They might not have been white.
I don't feel like you're making anything better.
No.
If you've never seen
I
Mandy...
made one comment to turn this conversation into them eating each other.
Listen. All I know is the cult was white.
If you've never seen Mandy, there are a clear nod to the Cenobites of Hellraiser.
Yeah.
And if you've never seen Hellraiser like me, that didn't help. But yeah, they take them after striking a deal because the cult people with the Jesus guy gave the weird non-racial alien people some drugs, and he's like, "You owe us now."
They
and
also sacrificed the dude.
Well, okay, we'll
Dude,
refer to them.
Bro, I'm literally
Sorry.
They're called the black. They're called the Black Skulls.
Okay, that'll help.
Yeah.
Okay, so they give the Black Skulls something, and yeah, they sacrifice. But not only do they sacrifice one of the cult members, they sacrifice Mandy. When they break into the house, they get her and they freaking tie her up and they light her on fire.
Well, wait.
Whoa.
First, they bring her to the cult leader because he wants her.
Putas way. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's an important part.
I fucked up.
That's okay. And then what happens when the cult leader
takes her, so basically, I'm sorry, guys. He takes out his penis. I forgot.
Yeah.
He does.
They show it full frontal.
And he's like, what do you, he's like, hey, man, I'm pretty cool, right? And she's like, oh, but what's this? He was playing a song. And she's like, you wrote that? Yeah. And it's about you? Yeah. Pretty dumb. Mm-hmm. Pretty dumb to make a song about yourself like that. And so she starts laughing at him. He gets really embarrassed. And so then, in retaliation, he lights her on fire in front of her boo thing. Mm-hmm. Nicolas Cage.
Mostly for laughing at his dick.
Yeah.
That was what got him.
And that's not cool, but you shouldn't light someone on fire for that. Because also, don't pull your dick out like that.
Yeah, you shouldn't pull your dick out in front of strangers.
You know what? He was in the wrong. I take it back.
Yeah, he definitely was in the wrong.
Well, not only did they light her on fire, they light her on fire in front of Nick Cage.
That's what I said.
Yep, in front of her boyfriend.
I said her boo thing, Nicolas Cage.
You fucking piece of shit. Okay, all right.
I make one mistake and nobody can trust me anymore.
Getting pretty aggressive over here. Okay, go ahead.
And so Nick Cage, devastated. Yeah. They leave him there tied up, but he's able to kind of maneuver his way out of this little thing they created, and he was fucked up. But he comes out messed up, hands cut up, face bruised up. So he screams and gets drunk, starts breaking things, and then he goes to this guy and buys a crossbow, and he's like, I'm going to go hunting. The guy's like, hey, you're probably going to die. And he...
Most relatable.
He's so relatable.
Say the line. What did he say?
Oh, yeah.
He said, you're going to die.
Stop being negative.
He said, don't be negative.
Don't be negative.
Yeah.
There's so
you're
many
probably
funny
going to die.
lines.
Don't be negative.
Nicolas Cage really, he hit it out of the park with this one. He was a national treasure on this one. And he goes and he shoots one of the biker guys with the crossbow, and then he gets captured because freaking, again, I don't know.
Truck.
He tries to hit him with his truck. The guy just gets him out of there, and he wakes up. He's tied up again, but then he gets out again. They can't keep this guy tied down.
Can't keep him down.
He kills that guy, and then he just goes, dude. He gets pissed. He just boom gets another one who has a blade for a penis. Which
just
doing
mounds of cocaine all by himself.
He's doing cocaine and watching porn, and Nick Cage tried to sneak up on him, but you cannot sneak up on a man watching porn and doing cocaine. It's impossible.
He was
hyper
on
alert,
edge
for sure.
Yeah,
he was on edge, and
he's
then
doing a lot of embarrassing things. He's paying
Nicolas
attention.
Cage does the cocaine too, and then he takes a tiniest little sip of that drug water.
Just a little finger tap.
Yep, boom. Of that drug water that they gave the biker gang from the beginning. And he sees his version of hell, what it seems like. And he's so locked in now. And so he goes around and he eventually kills the other guys, goes to their hideout of the biker gang, and there's one guy left, and they have this, they square up. He has this big halberd, whatever it's called, and they duel, and then he kills him, cuts his head off, and then
I was telling him, no, not chainsaw yet.
And then guys, just let me flow real quick. I'm actually,
he's in a flow state.
He kills him, he cuts off his head, and he takes out a cigarette, and he fucking lights it with the guy's head, which has been set on fire from the burning car behind it, and he smokes it, and that was cool. And that was cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Baby.
And it was. When I saw that, I was like, man, it made me believe in movies again. It made me want to watch more.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I knew you'd like that last half. It
was such a different movie. That last, the third act began now. Once he gets that crossbow, it's the third act. And so he just goes on a rampage. It's a totally different tone. There was more trippy imagery in the second act, but that third one is just about fucking getting shit done. So he goes back to the cult. He starts killing all of them too, one by one. Like, he does all these cool little kills them quick, and then...
Oh, wait, but how does he get directions to the cult?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, he finds the drug dealer, because the cult are really just the middleman. They're like
he finds the chemist.
Yeah. He finds the chemist. Yeah. Sorry, not the dealers. The freaking, I guess, what you call it, supply or the cook.
The cook.
And he just, they have this like mental connection, because Nicolas Cage just stares at him with blood all over his face. And he just keeps staring at him. The guy's like, oh, I understand. Man, they wronged you, man.
He let his tiger go.
Yeah, he lets his tiger go because he just sees Nicolas Cage's aura.
He's like, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
He's like,
let me step off. Here. So he lets him. He's like, listen, bro, go north. That's where they're at. And Nicolas Cage, with that information, fucking gets there. It was crazy. It was like, it's not even how
hops on an ATV and just finds a tunnel.
He just looked at the North Star and was like, that's where I'm going. And he gets there, and he starts killing the cult. But one of the cult members, after killing the rest of the grunts, there's one guy where instead of killing him with his halberd like he had been doing the whole time, he sees a chainsaw on the ground, and he's like, that'd be even cooler.
Yeah.
And really cool, you got to do it. So he has a chainsaw battle with the guy, and they're going at each other. The other guy has a bigger chainsaw, but it's not about the size of it. It's about how you use the chainsaw.
Exactly.
And so Nicolas Cage comes out on top by tripping him, and he falls onto an active chainsaw.
Well, he uses a chain.
He uses a chain to get him onto the
saw.
chain. Yeah.
Use just the chain.
Anytime you see a chain in a horror movie, that person's about to win whatever situation it is.
Yep.
That's so true. And it was off the chain, and he goes, and finally it's down to 2 cult members, the main priest guy, Jeremiah, Jesus, and his bottom bitch. She tries to seduce Nicolas Cage with her sensitivity in the bedroom. She says she's the most sensitive lover probably in the world by her standards.
She did call herself an empath.
Yeah. And he cuts off her head. And gives it to the guy, and the guy, when he sees this, freaks out, and he goes through a whole range of emotions. First, he's like, dude, I got you, I'm God, basically. And then Nicolas Cage doesn't care, and he realizes that. He's like, please, I'll suck your fucking dick, please. Yeah. And at the end of the day, Nicolas Cage gets his hands on him, and he just squeezes his head with such vigor that his eyeballs pop out. And in that moment, he was no longer God. And Nicolas Cage walks away. And he just has this like weird fucking flashback, or not flash, I don't even know, hallucination as he's driving the car. He looks over and he sees his dead girlfriend, and he just sees himself. And it was like, I think that's how it ends. Does he?
That's how it ends.
Does it hit one more note?
Exactly.
Or no, he just kind of looks at her. And Mandy was the name of the movie, but it was really a Nicolas Cage. It was like Nicolas Cage. What's the guy's name? John Wick, but like with fucked up visuals.
Yeah, it was like a horror version of John Wick.
John Wick on drugs and cults and some graphic violence, and John Wick loses it. It was cool.
Yeah.
You know why it's better than John Wick? Because I love John Wick. I love action movies.
This was better. I've seen John Wick action.
Yeah.
But this is better because in John Wick, in order for him to do all that cool stuff and kill that many people, like most action movies, You just have to bank on the idea that no one else can fire their weapon correctly.
Yeah.
Everyone misses constantly, except for the people that do hit him when he's got the little bulletproof jacket thing or whatever, right?
Yeah.
None of that's in Mandy. The only thing in Mandy that's like kind of outside the realm of reality in terms of what happens to him is the fact that he's able to be that injured and come back from it. But like that's in every movie. But like But man, it's the stakes feel higher because he's not like there's nothing about him that feels like he's this craftsman like when you watch John Wick this dude knows everything about every gun ever and can just and he's like this kung fu master. This is just an angry dude that was chopping down trees one day and then his girlfriend gets murdered in front of him and he's like, I'm gonna make everyone pay, and it's beautiful.
It was such a cool movie. I know I was on my phone a couple of times, but I was texting a woman. Okay, this movie was great.
Who's
actually,
his Mandy?
I actually really enjoyed it after thinking about it. It was one of my favorite movies we've seen. Just because it was so like when the guy's eyes popped out at the end, I really liked that. It was just so
satisfying.
Yeah, and I did like how it felt.
He was such
an
unlikable character.
Yeah, it felt like when you switch the beat up in a song halfway through, you're like, oh fuck, we're like getting weird visuals. Obviously it wasn't there was some things that were a little maybe confusing, but it was like. It's a great movie.
Under the Bridge by Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Yeah.
The beginning's like... And then the last part's like... That's how the movie goes. So, the interesting thing about this film is the whole thing's filmed in Belgium. And it's made to look like the Pacific Northwest. And it looks... exactly like
that's why I actually thought it was in fucking Washington.
So they did a great job with that, but part of the funding that came from this movie was from some people who the stipulation was because they were Belgium film backed companies that were helping get this made, they actually had the stipulation that they had to have some of the actors be like principal actors had to be from that country.
Oh,
so that's why you saw all those blonde dudes. they're all these those European dudes just fucking.
The one that was cleaning the car, and then the one that he got into a chainsaw fight with.
Yeah.
Also, anytime a movie does a fucking chainsaw duel,
dude,
that was cool.
You've already won me over.
Oh, which brings
nothing's cooler than a chainsaw fight, dude.
Never seen one. That was my first.
Really?
Well,
there's one in Nash versus Evil Dead that's really dope.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But a direct nod to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. That was, as far as I know, the first chainsaw fight, which is pretty cool. There's a million references to a million things in this movie, but they actually do a pretty good job of incorporating it, but making it still original, even though they're incorporating stuff from other movies.
Yeah.
But possibly my favorite thing that they incorporated into this is the feeling of the 80s, but specifically through the commercial of the Cheddar Goblin.
Cheddar Goblin, dude.
Wait, that was real?
No.
They
shot that. There's another horror director, I forget his name off the top of my head, but they had him direct the commercial. So inside this movie is this fake commercial, and you can tell it's not real because of the part at the very end of the commercial, because it's all weird and crazy, but there's a lot of weird old commercials. But there's that one part where it's just no noise, and the commercial's still going, and the Cheddar Goblin just rises out of the cheddar, where you just see his out of the mac and cheese, and you just see his eyes, and you're like, oh, that's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy too because it's
not real. Yeah,
it's crazy too because for Nicolas Cage's character, because that's the first thing he sees when he gets home after watching his girlfriend get murdered. He comes in and he picks up the shirt that she wore, and he's like, oh, and he's like, pain, and he looks at the TV and he just watches the Cheddar Goblin commercial.
Yeah,
right before he drinks an entire bottle of vodka and pours it all over him to the point where he's holding his throat because he's drinking it so fast.
Weirdly enough, I related to him at that moment, and I related to the Cheddar Goblin. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
we got a little Cheddar Goblin in us. Yeah. Sometimes I wake up at 3 a.m.
Yeah,
I'm a little Cheddar Goblin. I'm not gonna lie.
If you go to horror conventions, there's more Cheddar Goblin stuff than Mandy stuff.
That's awesome.
Cheddar Goblin has its own little like cult following.
Really?
All from this little tiny commercial. There's nothing else that I know of. I mean, there might be, but not that I know of.
I need Cheddar Goblin merch.
Yeah, yeah. Cheddar. They have a Cheddar Goblin line of merch.
Pulling out cheese at 3 a.m. and like stuffing my face with cheese at 3 a.m. Going against all of my dietary judgment and shoving cheese in my face at 3 in the morning.
During the filming of this, most of it went pretty smooth, but there was a point where they were filming near a historic site, while they're out in the woods and everything.
Yeah.
And that little fire they had going in that one scene, actually, like one of the embers jumped and it actually started to catch some of the set on fire, and they had to put it out because if it had spread more than 20 feet, it would have burned down like a monument, like a historic, or not a monument, like a historic site that was out in the woods there.
Yeah.
So that was probably a federal crime in that country, I would assume. Fun fact about Nicolas Cage playing this character, Elijah Wood, for those who don't know, is a massive horror fan.
Elijah Wood?
Yeah. He in the remake of Maniac, he cast himself in the part, and he basically got the funding to have that made. He's
I actually saw that movie. I saw parts of that movie.
Yeah.
I saw half of it. It's all shot POV.
Yeah.
I
think that's right. I haven't seen the new one, but I remember people saying that.
Yeah. It's mostly shot POV, and it's Elijah Wood pretending to be a psychopath.
Well, so Elijah Wood.
I said pretending. I don't know why I said pretending.
But Elijah Wood actually was a fan of Panos Cosmatos after his first film, and he wanted Nick Cage to be in this movie, so he worked out that meeting. Like, he got them together. And of course Panos was a huge fan of Nick Cage. Who wouldn't be, but Nick Cage wanted to play the part that he has in the movie, and the director wanted him to play the cult leader, because in his mind he was like, oh, that's how I want to see Nick Cage. And Nick Cage is like, I've done all these things. I want this character. And so at first he wouldn't cast him for it, and they actually went away with Nick Cage not on the...
God, it would have been a whole different fucking movie.
Totally, yeah.
Oh, but also he would have crushed it.
Oh yeah, he would have been great. But he declined to play the other role, and so and then Panos said that he had like a dream or like a vision of Nick Cage like playing the character, and he was like, it all came together, and he was like, oh, it does make sense. And they called him up and said, or they didn't find anybody else who was willing to do it. This goes back to that Ryder Strong thing from the Cabin in the Woods episode.
Nick Cage was just waiting that whole time. He was just like, oh, all right. Yeah. Well, you didn't find anyone.
Yeah, it's the other way around this time. This time it's the director being like, well,
we have a couple calls.
We could really use a name attached to this movie.
You're lucky I had a dream. You're fucking lucky.
The director, so it's pretty rare, but the director, his father was George Cosmatos, was an astronaut. What?
An astronaut.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He was the guy that first stepped on the moon, I believe.
Well,
for Russia.
He's directed, his first movie was a horror movie, but he also directed Tombstone, Rambo Part 2, First Blood, Cobra.
Ooh.
Yeah, a couple of Stallone films. The guy was a film director, and his son took after him, but you can tell where he got some of his mother's influences, because she was a Swedish sculptor.
Or sculptor. Say astronaut.
She was a Swedish sculptor?
Sculptor.
How did she give birth?
I hate you.
I like how you waited for him to correct you and then said, how did you give birth? Why didn't you just say it first?
I just had to ignore it.
Yeah.
My timing was off, man.
He said he worked on the script for 6 years. It's a long time to work on that.
Yeah, you could go
that
to the
is
moon
a very
by
long
that.
time.
I just imagine him sitting around for 6 years being like, and then a fucking chainsaw fight happens?
I know.
Pretty sick, though.
How long did it take to get to the moon? Because maybe you could do it on the way there.
A couple thousand years. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where's your starting point?
Earth?
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
So the director said he did. He said that a lot of people felt like this was like an anti-drug movie or something.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he was like he made it clear. He's like, I did a lot of drugs. He's like, I did all the drugs in college, and I don't do them anymore. But that's not me. This wasn't me saying you shouldn't do drugs. There's nothing. No,
because Nick Cage's character got shit done on drugs, dude.
He sure did.
It wasn't until he did drugs that he got better at it.
Yeah, he fucking murdered Cenobites and then an entire cult.
Yeah,
I thought he did good though. He did good without it though too.
I mean, like he was like kind of struggling with the first one, and then the second one he kind of struggled. Then he tried to sneak up on the other guy who was doing cocaine, and then couldn't kill that guy. And then his first like good kill that where he wasn't really struggling all that much was that last person before he did the cocaine.
Yeah.
And then from then on out, he was drugged up.
Yeah.
And he was doing a lot better.
He was. But also it got easier too because then it was mainly cult people.
Yeah. He had one more guy that wasn't a cult people.
He was
who was like a badass. Yeah. And then the chainsaw fight.
Yeah.
That like he kind of struggled with.
So, the woman who plays Mandy, her name is Andrea Riseborough. She's a feminist filmmaker who actually owns a company that employs exclusively women. They make women's stories. That's all based on that. She has a long history of films, but two that relate perfectly to this, which is The Grudge. So it's another horror movie. The remake, the 2019 one. I think it's a remake.
Yeah.
It's just called The Grudge. But
The Grudge 2 scared the shit out of me.
But she also is in the Waco series that they did on Hulu back with I think John Leguizamo was in that. And Waco, another cult story,
Yeah, they bring it up in Midsommar.
Yeah, the Waco reference. And then the other one is the character Carruthers, which is the black dude in the trailer with the crossbow. Bill Duke is the actor's name.
Yeah.
He was in Predator. He was in Red Dragon. He's in a bunch of movies through the years, but most notably, most people would know him from Predator.
Yeah, the first Predator, right?
Yeah. He saves him.
Ani
stabs him stabs the knife into the scorpion while it's crawling on Arnold's shoulder, and then he goes, "Thanks, anytime."
Yeah,
like in the Predator. Maybe it's not Arnold's shoulder. I forget whose shoulder. Somebody's shoulder. But also, just a fun little fact for you hip hop heads out there: he's in the music video for "Dangerous." Busta Rhymes.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Fun. Yeah. Anyway, it should be pointed out both religious sites in the movie are triangle-shaped
barns that get set on fire.
Yup.
Yeah. Also, there are movies about cults setting a barn on fire, very Waco, and they didn't even bring up Waco in Midsommar. So that was like kind of like gearing you up to what was about to happen, bringing up Waco and being like, oh yeah, this is kind of like Waco. This is like, yeah, it's because barn's going to set on fire. But, it's, if you have a triangle-shaped barn, if you're a cult leader, you get one for tax purposes because that changes. Yeah, it's a write-off.
I mean, it's all a write-off.
It's all a write-off, but you want to get you need a home base, so you get a triangle-shaped fucking a barn. It's a write-off in and of itself. Well, because you can't get a regular barn because then you look like a farmer, so you have to make it look like a religious site so that you can try to not not pay taxes.
Yeah.
So you can look a little bit more like a legitimate religion. But that's where David Koresh fucked up. Is that he just had a regular barn, and he was like, "We're just going to get a regular barn."
I don't think he had a barn. He just had a big ass compound.
Well, it was a big commune. Yeah, I'm sure there was like a barn. There's probably a barn. Filled it with guns, and it was just like, yeah, of course the fucking what was it the ATF. Of course the ATF was like, "What are you doing with guns in that barn? It's not even triangle." And he was like. He was like, "What do you mean? Like, I'm just a religion." And they were like, "No, you're not. It's clearly not a triangle. You're lying to us."
You're selling this so well that Sean seems like he's genuinely like, "Wait, Is this a bit or
first time I've agreed with Ray all episode?
Yeah. You want to look like a legitimate like religion? You triangle barn, dude.
Because I was never good at geometry, so I'm susceptible to this.
Yeah,
I'm actually like convinced. I'm like, oh, that's why I fucking failed.
And if you do enough mushrooms, geometry is God. So.
And I should have wrote that on my test. Man.
So,
congruent angles. What does that mean? It means the Lord's with you.
You know?
So a couple of things.
Wait till they start talking about fractals. Oof.
A couple of things that
Dude, can you stop coercing us?
I'll fucking two-horse you all day. A couple of things that Cosmatos said about this film. Pretty clear that there's some critiques of toxic masculinity here, I would say.
On both films.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Both films cover a lot of that. But he actually says that he has an allergic reaction to
toxic masculinity.
Yeah. He's like, it literally repulses him. But
dude, calm down.
Yeah,
I know.
But he said he gets like sick.
He says that on every first date.
Yeah.
Something about me?
But he said he gets sick from confrontation, like male confrontation, like when someone's like getting aggro with him or whatever. And it's like you just got to get in a couple of fights.
That just sounds like you're a fucking pussy, dude.
You just made him sneeze if he was in the room.
Yeah, he's watching this and he's just like, that proved my point.
Yeah.
I'm getting hives.
Oh yeah, you're allergic. You're allergic, so you're just a little bitch, dude.
And then he throws up on you. So he said something kind of interesting that I kind of relate to a little bit. Where he said that when he was a kid, he loved horror movies, but they would freak him out to the point where he felt like he was going to have like a panic attack. And then eventually he started to kind of get away from it and watch more like art house type stuff.
Yeah.
You can see, the influence of. But he said that when he was in therapy, he found his way back to horror because it was like the thing that he actually felt closest to in terms of like artistic expression. So he had to kind of come back around to it in his adulthood and go like, oh yeah, I loved this stuff, and it was like comfort for him.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's beautiful.
Lastly, it got a 4-minute standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival.
Mandy?
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
Because everybody was like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, it was good.
4 minutes is such a... I wonder, like, when that's going on, 3 minutes in, if you're standing up, are you just doing it because everyone else is, though? You're like, fine, I don't want to be a dick.
Oh, yeah.
I don't sits down and it keeps going, he gets back up, he's like, oh, shit, okay.
There's at least 3 people that didn't stand for the first minute, and we're like, oh, people are still standing.
This is like a thing. Yeah.
And they were all just staring at them.
Yeah, they were like,
yeah. I love the movie, but my legs are getting tired.
I don't want to stand up for this. Like, this looks like it wasn't a visceral reaction for me. You guys don't have to make me feel weird about it.
Yeah, I gotta pee.
I'm literally in a wheelchair and I can't.
Yeah.
Nope, too much.
But it was just started by one guy who was like coked up the whole movie, and he was just like, yeah.
Just sitting there wiggling his jaw for 2 hours.
Yeah, but he was just so fucking confident into it. Everybody was like, yeah, no, he knows movies.
Why did everyone sitting down? We've only been doing this for like 4 seconds.
They're 3.5 minutes in. He's like, don't sit down. Don't sit down. Don't sit down.
When's the movie starting?
All right, we're gonna
play it again.
Yeah,
play it again.
Okay, it's 2
Sorry.
in the morning.
Yeah, it is 2 in the morning. Holy shit.
That was...
Sorry, that was loud.
I mean, we do this at a reasonable time.
We usually do.
Okay, so Rotten Tomatoes scores, boys. What do you think? We're going to do critics and audience.
We haven't done that yet? Holy shit, man.
Yeah, we're gonna close out
critics are 90. 90. 91.
Okay. Yeah, I want to hope they're both high. Let's go... We'll go, man, dude, I set a precedent last time. Just listen, I'm probably not going to be close this time. But let me
you go first. Pick your critic and your audience.
91 for critic. Okay. Audience score, I'm going to say it's an 88.
Okay. Sean?
Fuck you. Can I do the exact opposite and say 88? critic, 91 audience.
Ooh.
Okay. You had it the first time. It was 90.
90?
Oh,
God damn it, dude.
And audience score was 67%.
Jesus.
Whoa.
That's
Okay.
so low.
I think
so low.
I think a lot of people came over that were not expecting. They didn't know what to
Horror,
expect.
yeah.
And there's a lot of people who feel like Nicolas Cage.
That's true. It's a very polarizing figure.
Well, also,
and especially at that time because Nicolas Cage was still coming off of all these bad movies, and then some people still had a bad taste in their mouth about Nicolas Cage, and some people who never liked him in the first place. But but I think a lot of people came over with an expectation of what it was instead of like truly, letting that film just kind of hit them objectively. Like objectively, that film is fucking wild.
Yeah.
Right. I'm almost feeling like in horror, like sometimes it's almost like a kind of like a good thing that it has a lower rating because it's driving attention from people outside of horror.
Yeah, exactly.
And then those people are like, "Oh, I didn't even know what I was getting into." You just don't like horror. It's not that the movie was bad. You just don't like horror. But like, also says something to how popular the film is if it's driving its own rating down by bringing in people outside of horror.
Right. And then some of you fucking dickheads out there are still complaining that everything isn't the way it was 40 years ago. So
yeah,
maybe try to enjoy stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the horror movies have feelings now?
Oh, did times change? Okay, so lastly, we're going to do budget and box office.
9 million budget, 23 million box office.
Okay.
Yeah, I do feel like this is a low budget because it was shot in, like, what was it, Utah?
No,
No.
Belgium.
This was in Belgium.
This was in Oh, this was shot in Belgium. Okay. But it was Belgian back, though. So, and they were Belgian actors, so that's probably a little bit cheaper. Would you say 9 million?
Yeah.
I'm going to say 5 million.
Okay. And what do you think for box office?
Box office, cool, 20 million.
Well, I don't know how we're going to split this box office part, but budget was 6 million. So you definitely got closest to the pin on that.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Box office. This upsets me. You know I don't usually get too twisted about this kind of stuff because I always go, oh, it's chalks up to this or that. But this movie's like fairly new, and I fucking love it. And it's like it's probably the movie that got me back into giving a shit about movies again.
Damn.
Yeah.
And box office was only 1.65 million.
So they lost like fucking.
They lost like $4.5
million. Jesus Christ.
Now it did really well out of theaters in terms of like, I mean, even in 2018, it was doing pretty well with like Blu-ray sales and and then the streaming, and then now Shudder has it. And like, yeah, I think it's definitely more than made back its money at this point.
Nice.
Right.
But it's still goddamn disrespectful.
It is disrespectful. It's a good movie.
And all of you should have gone to see it, including me. I also saw it, on like a Blu-ray probably.
It is definitely the horror equivalent of John Wick, though, which is good. It's not a bad thing.
I'd say, if anything, it's not, because it has more. I feel like it has more heart.
Yeah,
I love John Wick. It's so fun, but this movie has
it's more one dimensional.
Yeah.
John Wick.
Yeah, they
do a lot more world building later on.
Than
the first one, but
this has like so much incorporated into it. There's an anime sequence. There's three different title sequences that make it feel like a trilogy movie, or a trilogy of movies that are like, it feels like three short films they mashed together and made like perfectly fit, and like it's beautiful and it's so well shot. The way that they shot it on the 35 millimeter and then did the Panavision to where what was it? I forget the exact thing it is, but it like basically stretches to where like those lens flares and stuff like really are seen like prominently. It's like the way that they processed the film made it look like that. They shot it on film. I mean,
they were both very artsy films.
Exactly. Yeah.
Both very artsy films. Both like, especially Midsommar. Midsommar had a lot of like just very symmetrical shots throughout the whole thing. That was just like really great to look at, and also just kind of fun to play with.
And then Mandy's use of color.
Mandy's use of color is great. Yeah, there were scenes that were just like completely red, and like it just really changed the dynamics of how the scenes felt. And
then like surreal stuff that they didn't have to do, but he just chose to make it cool. Like in the beginning when they like showed the sky when they're just hanging out, and they show the sky, and you're like, that's not how the sky looks. It was like the universe up there, but it also fit perfectly behind it. It was composited so well that you're just like. You just kind of accept it. You're like, okay, yeah. So yeah,
gorgeous looking movies.
Yeah, two amazing movies to watch. Two movies you could honestly watch with the sound off and still understand everything that's happening. Still get the impact, and obviously it's great to watch it normal. But I was just making the case for two movies that cover so much of the human experience. While being great horror films at the same time.
Yeah. I do feel like Midsommar kind of the themes are a little bit more specific.
Yeah.
As far as just like when it comes to like the more emotional depth to it is just a little bit more specific. But Mandy still does a good job of like kind of like keeping an emotional like through line of like his pain of like losing someone.
Yeah.
Which one do you guys prefer?
Mandy.
Yeah, I'm a Midsommar guy. I liked Mandy, I did, but Midsommar kind of like holds a fucking. It's like one of my favorites. I think that's more to do with mushrooms than anything else, but
I could tell.
Yeah.
We'd be talking about something. You go, and another thing about mushrooms. All right.
It's just I've never seen a movie that was so fucking accurate, and it's
Yeah.
I think you stopped your description of the movie like 5 times.
So people can safely trip, dude.
Yeah, can you do a mushroom supercut of this?
Yeah, I probably will.
Sean, which one do you like the most?
Dude, I think I it was weird because again, I feel like my problems with Midsommar were more extensive, I think, than Mandy. I did think about it for a while after. It was a very good movie. I think I liked both movies.
Yeah, they're both
great. I did. I think the more enjoyable experience I'd say Mandy, but yeah, it was just because I think I just didn't like enough characters during Midsommar. You don't need that in a movie, but I just when it was slow paced like that, I felt like I wanted to attach to a character more because I was like, these people. Man,
I mean, it's rare. Yeah. It's also rare to have two movies. I mean, obviously, when we did Halloween and Scream, I think that's probably got us a little closer to this. But like, and
that was a good
week. 83% and a 90% Rotten Tomatoes scores. I mean, these are like two movies that for horror, it's pretty tough to get people to especially critics to get them to, because a lot of times the audience is what keeps the scores high.
Yeah,
but movie week. These are my two. Those would be my two favorites. Scream and Halloween too.
That was a fun
really
episode. Yeah, that was a really fun episode.
Well, boys, I think we did it.
Yeah,
I think we covered it. Thanks for hanging out with us. Stick around. Like and follow and subscribe and all that shit. Right?
Yeah.
If you got any suggestions for films that you would like us to talk about, go ahead and put them in the comments. Preferably on YouTube. I know Sean handles all the...
Well, because it's got that poll option on Spotify, but people just use it to hate on me.
Continue to use Spotify to shit talk Sean, but go to the YouTube section, comment sections.
Be positive there.
Yeah.
To let us know, or be negative there and boost the algorithm, whatever. Who gives a shit? But if you want us to talk about any particular movies, you can put it there. We might not do it, but if I can find a way to incorporate it, I'll do my best. Anyway, that was a fun episode though. That was God, I love those movies. That was so much fun.
They're both really good. They're both really good movies.
And if you get a chance to to do some mushrooms in a graveyard and watch Midsommar,
you should do that.
Yeah. And then Mandy, you don't have to take anything.
Think about
it does
yourself.
It for you.
Think about your life, your upbringing.
Sure.
Think about what made us as people.
And then if you don't have to take anything with Mandy, you can just watch Mandy.
Just watch Mandy.
If you watch Mandy, you can feel like you've done drugs.
Learn something from mushrooms. Don't just do them.
Ray's going to have a separate podcast called called Ray Does Mushrooms.
Yeah. Psychedelics and how you can improve yourself.
Well, on behalf of our producer Turner, who's passed out.
He's been sleeping the whole time, dude.
Yeah, thank God.
I knew you were going to say that. Thank God.
On behalf of myself, our producer Turner, Ray Reyes,
Yo,
Sean Dolan.
Goodbye.
Bye.
See you next time.
See ya.
Very
How long
chill.
was that?
Hour 40. And probably hour 45.
A man getting bit by an alligator screaming.
Swallow this.